Welcome back to the podcast. This is Walking Like a Talkie. Joining us today is an award-winning screenwriter and director. Please let's welcome Mannie.
Oiseomaye.
Yes. Welcome to the show, Mannie. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast, and we're really happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So could you just give us a brief summary of who you are,
Okay.
so the audience can know who exactly is on the show with them?
Okay. I'm Mannie Oiseomaye.
Okay.
I'm a screenwriter first, then producer and director once in a while. Yeah. But screenwriting is my major hustle. That's what I use. Yeah. So that's
So
what
outside of um screenplay writing or screenwriting and directing, producing, what else do you do?
mostly anything else that involves writing. I do copywriting.
Oh, okay.
I also do a bit of I want to call it fiction writing and but mostly anything that encompasses writing,
Do you do
right?
professional writing as well?
Professional writing.
So say blogs or CV kind of
Oh
thing.
no, I used to do that in uni,
Or is
but
it,
not anymore. Not
that's actually very nice. So everything writing.
yeah,
I'm curious if
everything creative writing.
okay, everything creative
Yeah,
writing.
yeah.
I'm curious to know how that, in terms of having that as a profession,
Hmm.
how much income. Now you don't have to say your salary or
Of
anything, but
course,
like how well to do would you say it pays, or
it
how well
pays.
does it pay?
The thing is, mm, hmm, you can't stick to just
One aspect.
screenwriting. Yeah, screenwriting is not something that pays at all, at all. So you basically have to do other things. Naturally, I would have wanted to just focus on screenwriting if I could,
Okay.
but the reason I have producing and directing on the side is because screenwriting is not per se very lucrative, at least right now in Nollywood
Yeah.
industry. Yeah, so
But why though? Why is screenwriting not a very lucrative profession?
I don't think we've gotten to the point where we like appreciate mostly creative things in general, but creative
Yeah.
writing in general. I don't think like the industry has gotten to that point yet. I think most filmmakers still believe that they can do what the writers do, so they don't have to pay
The
or
writers as
pay as
much.
much. Yeah,
I mean, without the writers, there's no story. Don't you
yeah,
think
of
so?
course. Yeah,
So I personally think the writer is one of the most important people. Well, people would argue the director, because he or she is the one who
brings
sets the final vision and brings the script to
to
life.
life. Yeah,
But that's actually a very interesting thing to note. So you've crushed my dreams by me. Because I actually do a little bit of screenplay writing for just stage dramas and stuff. Although I
okay.
have written a 10 episode series
Series.
before, right? I just have it in my shelf somewhere until
Okay,
whenever I find like a lucrative opportunity to put it out
put it
there.
out.
So yeah, so what you just told me is I shouldn't expect a dime for it.
Right now, yes. It's funny enough. I think with the like um with the way streaming services have started coming
Yeah,
to Nigeria, stuff like that can change.
okay.
But for the majority of screenwriters that don't have that opportunity, it's not as what's it called lucrative for them.
Okay. So how did you get into screenwriting, creative writing generally? You said you started writing, you used to do CV writing in secondary school.
In uni.
Uni,
Oh,
sorry, yeah.
no,
So how did you start? Did you start from like primary school, secondary school,
it
and
depends. Are you talking about creative writing in general or
writing in
screenwriting?
general?
Writing in
Yeah.
general. Mm, for I don't think I can remember per se. I was very young.
Okay.
Think it started from like TV, like
Okay.
my love for like TV, I watched a lot of TV growing up. And I also did a lot of
So
writing.
you watched them Paloma and Diego.
No, it was mostly kids
Okay.
stuff and adult TV like drama. So I got to watch like a lot of TV with my
You said
mom.
adult TV.
Like when I was in like Desperate Housewives,
Okay.
just on One Tree Hill, like those kind of stuff that
Yeah.
mostly people my age weren't watching at. Oh, most people my age were watching them, but like they weren't supposed to watch them. Yeah, so I was watching a lot of TV growing up, and I was also doing a lot of writing. So I read a lot of books. So I was wanted to write like the stuff that I was
Yeah.
reading. Yeah. So when at some point um I realized I wanted to like live in the stuff that I was seeing on TV. And I was like, okay, maybe this is me wanting to like be in front of the screen and stuff. But I realized as I grew older that I was more like I wanted to be behind the scenes, like
Yeah.
be the person orchestrating. So I started like I combined my love for writing and my love for film and started like I think when I was in secondary school and I started like studying like self teaching myself screenwriting. So I went online, started doing like some short courses and stuff. Yeah, and that was basically like how I started how I entered screenwriting as a
Wait,
study.
and how did you go? How did you get? Sorry, what did you study in the university?
Mass communication.
Mass communication. Okay, so
In
how is
Lagos.
it aligned to? You said at the University of Lagos.
Yeah.
So is it? Would you say your degree, so what you studied in, has helped you in? Did it help you become a better writer?
Did it help me become? No. Most of the things that I know about writing, I
Yeah,
knew it before
you
I got
even got to
into
school.
school. Yeah. So I think the only thing I would say my degree did for me was that it introduced me to like people,
Okay,
right? Like a network of people that's how do I put it? Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
just
That was
basically introduce.
yeah. But
So the things you already learned were more instrumental in school than
we're
the
more
other way
yeah, for
around.
sure. Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
think we had like in final year, they
okay.
eventually started teaching us like screenwriting.
Yeah.
And um, like I was the only person in my what's it called sets that knew anything about it. And
Okay.
so like it was easy for me to like navigate that particular course. And yeah, so basically most of all I know about screenwriting was already
Self-taught.
self-taught.
So that since then now, have you been to any professional? Have you taken any professional course or been to any professional academy for
Academy for
screenwriting?
screenwriting. Yeah, I did in 2017 the Accelerate Filmmaker projects, Access Bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was in my second year in uni, and I had to even like skip a couple classes to go for it.
Yeah.
But I told my parents, but so and then yeah, so for like a month, but the program was for like 7 days, and so for a month we attended like writing, directing, and then producing classes, just like very intense sessions classes. Yeah, and eventually at the end of the program, five of us were selected
Yeah.
and the short film was made. Each of us made our own short films. We produced, wrote, and directed our own short films, and it premiered at AFRIF. And yeah, so that was actually my entry into like Nollywood. It was just a screenwriting thing before, but then after the Accelerator Maker project, I now like started exploring being in Nollywood.
Yeah. And the movie you submitted for that first of all I think was Godwill.
Good, good.
Yeah. Well, for those who haven't watched Godwill, do you care to tell them what Godwill is
It's
and
about
how
okay,
you came about the storyline?
okay. So it's centered on a man's final day on in his home, like before he passed. And so basically the story follows the short it's a short film and it basically follows his morning just before he passed. And while the film is going on, the voiceover is basically him reading his own will to his children.
Okay.
Yeah. And then by the end of the short film, you realize what killed him and um why he ended up dying.
That's a very interesting story. And I know you
Yeah.
won that festival.
Yeah.
So what brought about that story? Was it something that happened? Had you experienced something like that happening before? Or
No, it was more of a we at that point we're exploring like that was the first edition of the Accelerate Filmmaker project.
okay,
So most of the writers and producers and directors that were like brought in, most of us had like dark vibes. Like the kind of stories we wanted to tell were very dark and like mysterious and stuff. So um I think it was just more of a um story that was in my head, and I just wanted to tell it. It was not like inspired by something that happened in my life. No,
But
but
the stories like that sell in Nigeria, the whole dark and mysterious, and do they sell in Nollywood today?
today, when you say sell,
Like, are they accepted by the
yes,
audience?
more and more now,
Oh, more and more
especially
now.
now. Yeah,
I remember growing up watching African Magic, and I think there were some very dark, especially if you used to watch Mount Zion. Those were very
yeah, they're
dark
very dark stories.
movies. But we call them dark. They were very scary. Right. Of course, I'm sure everybody knows is I Am Atanga.
Yeah,
Definitely one of the scariest movies
movies
ever.
ever.
Why, when you went to university, you studied mass comm,
Mhm.
why not say theater art,
Theater
for
arts
example?
also.
Because you already kind of knew that this was the path you were
But
going to take in life.
mhm,
So why did you not just tailor your degree towards
to
that path?
that part. Simple answer would be my parents. But also, I actually did not want theater arts. Theater arts was very much theater, like, and I wanted to do film, like,
Okay.
so mass communication at that point was like the closest thing to like being exposed to like being in front of the camera, like seeing how to operate cameras, how to edit videos, just stuff like that. So that was the closest thing I could go to film, I could get to film, and also like satisfy my parents at the same time. So yeah, that was why I did mass communication.
Okay. That's Parents here do have a huge influence in what we do and the course that we take. But do you regret studying mass communication?
I regret studying mass communication.
If you could go back,
If I could go back,
yeah, what would you study theater or something
I would
else?
have. Funny enough, I probably would have studied English and literature. Yeah, I don't know why, but
Well, I could see the
the
correlation.
correlation.
Yeah, especially with literature, I could see
Yeah.
the correlation.
Well, I guess everything happens for a reason because I think it was a coursemate that introduced me to accelerate filmmaker projects. Like,
Okay.
and I was like, imagine if I had not like gone into mass communication in the first
Yeah,
place. Like, I probably wouldn't
you
have
would not
gotten
would
there.
not
And
have
then,
met that
yeah,
cosmate.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't have become like a screenwriter, but it would have taken a probably different routes. So everything happens for a reason, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, are there any specific screenwriters that you look up to in the industry?
Oh yeah, like in Nollywood, right?
Yeah, in Hollywood,
In Nollywood,
definitely,
yeah, for sure.
definitely in
And
Hollywood.
there are a
But yeah, feel free
couple.
to tell us in globally as well,
Okay, Nollywood. Let me start with Nollywood. Yeah, we have Kemi Adetiba,
of
of
course.
course. There's Jade Shiver, and
Okay.
there's Biodun Steven. Yeah, I
Okay.
think I just realized that they're all females writers. Well, they're my favorite writers. I think the reason I like them is because they're very their stories have like human angles to them. Like they're less not that they don't focus on like the technical aspect of
Yeah.
filmmaking, but it's very much grounded in like reality. Like yeah, so that's why I like that story.
But there's this notion, right? And I have that bias or notion as well that a lot of our stories or a lot of films now lack depth in the story.
Story.
It always feels like it's just it's more about just having a couple of Instagram celebrities
Celebrity
come on
come on
screen
screen.
and they just want to flaunt wealth, right? There's no in-depth story to it. So what do you have to say to that?
Yes.
Do you
It's
ever get that feeling as well, or and if you get that feeling, are you like actively trying to correct that notion? What's that like for you?
oh well for sure. I think that happens a lot. Like there are majority of the films that come out of Nollywood are very surface level. Like
Yeah,
they don't
he said it, not me.
majority, not everything.
Yeah,
So yeah, but there are filmmakers and film people that are coming out with like stories that have depth. I think the problem is that the ones that get the most push and
push.
what's it called, promotion and just attention in general are the ones that don't have. the depth.
Because
So it's
I remember old African magic. You we learn something. Maybe because the stories always surround the wicked stepmother. This person who traveled came back. His sister was sending money home. The
money,
sister, I think those were life lessons.
like
Those were things. Sometimes I watch some Nollywood movies and I can't relate to any of it because I'm like, this doesn't really happen, or maybe it doesn't happen to my class of people, right?
filmmakers, like the ones that do bring out like films that have depth and
Yeah,
everything. They are not the ones that get.
the
They're not the
more
ones that have the money to promote their films. They're not the ones that have the um connections in this thing. So I don't know if you've seen films like For Maria.
no, I
You
haven't.
haven't seen it. So it's on Netflix.
Okay.
So that's a film that has depth, and the filmmaker managed to get it on Netflix, and it got like a lot of attention. But there are so many films like that
That are not getting
that
any
nobody's
attention.
ever going to see.
So
Or
do you think your scripts have depth? Do you intentionally write for your scripts to have depth?
I intentionally write for that. And I don't know if that's how it comes across, because there's a very big gap between the writer and
The end
the
product.
final product.
True.
But yeah, majority of the time that is what I aim for when I'm writing my personal, and even when I'm writing for other people. That's,
Okay, so how do you measure, also not measure, what the different steps, right? You said there's a huge gap,
yeah.
right? So what's that gap? So could you explain what that gap is and how do you bridge that gap?
Okay. So for one, there's like lack of involvement in the screenwriter's part.
Okay.
Usually, it's we commissioned you for a project. You've given us the script. Okay, wow, through with you. We've paid you. So it's that's the end of your part of the project. And so most of the time, director doesn't have your vision in play when they are directing. They have an entirely different idea of what the script should be. They have entirely different what's the word called?
Idea. Oh,
Um, vision.
okay.
Yeah. So that can also serve as a like um how would I put it? It just doesn't help
Okay.
when that happens. So and then there's editing on the editing room. In the editing room, on the cutting floor, a lot of scenes get taken out. And if you don't understand the story, if you don't understand like where what the writer was thinking about when he put this particular scene in it, chances are you'll cut something out that is very important. So
But aren't
there's
there like not strategy meetings, but like meetings where everybody involved is coming to like discuss the
oh,
script and we're saying, and then shouldn't it be at that meeting where the writer gets his or her voice
for
say, oh, this is how it
for
should
sure.
be?
There are, it's not this is not like everybody, but this
Yeah,
is the like if I would say like maybe like 70% of Nollywood is like this, then there's the 30% that actually do involve the writers at least to a certain point in production process. Yeah. So it's not like the entire industry that acts this way, but it's majority of the industry.
but what are some of the earliest influences of your work? Like some of the earliest TV shows, specific. I know you mentioned you used to watch a lot of movies, so can you mention like specific shows that, oh, this show, this screenwriter growing up or this storyline growing up really um ignited, yeah,
Ignited
fueled my passion for
for fashion was.
screenwriting.
Okay, well let me start with like Nollywood.
Okay,
I would say um Wedding Party, that's one.
but that's recent
That's
now.
recent. Okay, you want me
This
like
is
old,
I'm talking
old,
about like
old.
okay, but yeah, okay. So take us back from like the past
The
to
past to the
present. Yeah.
present. Okay, so I'll start with maybe films like God, what's the name? It's a Kunle Afolayan film, but it's very old. Figuring,
Oh my God, do you know that till date, that is one of my favorite movies of all time. Figuring,
really.
it was. I
I
didn't see
mean,
the end coming.
exactly. I think that was one of his films that prioritized writing and story.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was that. Um, I watched, I won't say it's influenced, but I watched a lot of Super Story growing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Super Story was very nice. I think every 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. then.
Yeah, then what else did I watch growing up? Then I saw a lot of, so my grandmother was like very big on like Nollywood films.
Okay.
So we weren't allowed to watch like watch Nollywood films at home. But when I would go to her house, like African Magic was like in constant replay. So yeah, I got to watch like a lot of. I think that was where I fell in love with Nollywood the most when I was at my grandmother's house. Like a lot of Nollywood films would play over and over again.
Yeah.
So I got to see just different styles of
Okay.
those
And what
films.
about the writers?
Writers.
Yeah,
Oh,
that influenced you
the thing is that I don't think I was paying attention to writers until like
until later on.
later
Okay.
on. Yeah. So there was Tunde Babalola. I don't know if you've heard of him,
No, I
but
haven't.
he's the one that wrote. What did he write? I have to Google this. He wrote. He writes majority of Tony Flyers films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like majority of them. He also wrote La Femme Majora. That was like a recent one. Sha. Then there is Amaka Ikwe. That was like very early on. Um,
What about in Hollywood?
in Hollywood,
What were some Hollywood shows or movies that
movies
really
that really
inspired you?
inspired me. That one's a lot. Okay, so there was. I'll start very early. Then I'll
Okay,
just come
yeah.
in there. So there was movies. There was When Harry Met Sally.
Okay.
So the kind of movies I like are very dialogue driven, right? So and drama. So there was When Harry Met Sally. There is Social Network, particularly. Um, there is. mm, I'm sorry, coming up blank.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
no, no problem. No problem.
There's Social Network. There is. Okay, let me just go to series. There is OC, One Tree Hill, um,
Do you want to
24.
call? Oh, yeah, 24. 24 was a very interesting
Interesting.
concept. I love the fact that every season was just a day in its life. And I think that was a very unique way
Unique way
of
of
writing.
writing it.
Yeah.
The thing was, I think I watched a lot of TV growing up, like film and
What
TV.
lost?
Lost, yeah. So the thing is, you could mention the show,
Yeah.
and I've definitely watched it, but to remember it now,
Yeah.
yeah. So I saw a lot of TV growing up. I think at some point people started even wondering, like, okay, like, is there anything you haven't
You
seen?
haven't watched, yeah.
Yeah. So I consumed a lot of, especially Western TV
But what was that like?
content.
Were your parents not bothered?
But that,
Like you're spending too much time on
but
TV and all that.
uh, they would have been if it was affecting school. It wasn't.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, I think that was the reason they didn't really bother about it
So you're
like
like a
that.
smart ass.
So a point, yes.
All right, all right. Let's talk about your writing process. All right. Walk us through your writing process from start to finish.
Okay. So what do you mean, like,
So how do you write?
okay, how do I
What
write?
do you do before you
Before,
write? What do you do while
while
writing? What do you do after you write?
right.
How long does it take you typically to write?
Okay, so mostly I like to have my outline. Like,
Okay.
so I first have like a brainstorming session with like whoever the story came up, who's the story, whoever owns the story, basically. So most work I do is commissioned work.
Okay.
So already the producer or the director has a story, and then they bring me on to like develop the story with them. And after developing the story, I come up with like an outline. We discuss it more. We create the characters. Like we try to like build a world.
Yeah.
And then after doing that, then I go on to like work on it on my own or with like two other writers or one other writer. Yeah. So most of the time, that's how it is. When I'm writing on my own, that's writing my personal projects. It can really go anyway. I can decide to just go straight into it or actually develop stuff before I start writing. It depends on my mood, I guess. But when I'm writing for other people, I have to like follow a particular process.
So I know we already asked this before, so I'm going to ask again on
Okay.
camera. Are there external help? Do you get external help from from certain substances?
So, no, no. Possess is probably music, like I've said before. Yeah, so music is my only.
That's cool. I mean, generally, a lot of people read with music, and I think I personally I like reading with music. I don't like noise
No,
unless the noise is
no,
created by me.
for sure.
Yeah. So have you collaborated? You said sometimes people come and meet you and then they give you their synopsis
Hmm.
and then you now develop the story with them. Are there instances where you get writer's block?
Right. A lot, a lot of more. I think I even get writer's block more than I when I actually have like creative
Yeah.
juices flowing. So yeah, a lot actually
And what do you do to
to deal with
to
that.
yeah?
Sometimes I let it just pass and then I just while away my time, like not
But
doing anything.
on a deadline most of the time.
Oh, I am. I think I've noticed that I tend to work faster when I'm closer to my deadline.
I'm
So
like that too.
yeah, but if I'm really like on a tight schedule. I think the goal is just to keep writing, keep writing. Eventually, like I can always go back and rewrite, but the goal is to actually continue writing. So I'll just force myself to go on. Then
Okay.
once I'm done, I would go back. At least I know like I have something to work with, as opposed to just
Wasting
wasting
time
time and then
and
not having anything written at all.
okay. Okay. That's actually really, really cool. By your calculations, at what point would you get to or how many years would you spend in the industry and you say, oh, I've established myself in this
In this
industry?
industry. I don't think there's a like particular because there are people that probably started like when I started that have already like cemented their
Yeah, your
names in the
names.
industry. So I think it's more of just that project that would cement my name in the industry. I wouldn't say I know that I have the like AMC
Yeah, I
award.
mean, doesn't that
That's
already
it.
say okay? Well, okay, well, it does say yeah. It's
Yeah,
not like you want it for like a junior
for a
category.
junior
You want it for a
category.
major
Major category.
category.
Yeah, I think it's just a mindset thing. So
Okay,
maybe
so in your mind, you're not
in
there
your
yet.
mind,
You
I'm
still
not there
have
yet.
a
I still
couple
have
of.
a couple of pieces
So
to
do you
do.
want to tell us some of the things you're actively doing to get to that point where you're like money don't show?
Well, I want to basically, I'm trying to just involve myself in the art of filmmaking more than
Okay,
the art of just writing. So there's like, um, how would I explain this? So basically, usually I've been avoiding like working on sets for a very long time, like
yeah,
because I did like my internship at Ebony Life.
okay.
So when I was there, I think they were shooting. I don't know if you've seen
What?
Oloture on
Yes, I have.
Netflix. Yeah. So I was like a PA on that set, and that was like one of my worst. Like not because of them, but
PA as
because
in production
production
assistant or
assistants. Yeah.
okay,
Mm.
production
So
assistant.
I did not have a good time, and I was like, I'm definitely not going on set, like working on sets for a
Yeah.
very. So like it really scarred me to the point where I said I don't want to work on film sets anymore. So I had to like um eventually just get over that. Yeah. Yeah. And
But what happened then? How chaotic was it,
that's
or it was just
chaotic.
straight?
There was just stress because every other person they were okay with it, with the way things were going.
Okay.
But I, on the other hand, just didn't know how to handle such because I didn't start from like small projects. I started
Yeah.
from straight to Ebony Life, and I was like, and that project was a very big project. So I was like very overwhelmed, and I was just pushed right into like this thing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So but as I've grown older now, I've realized that I actually don't want to be involved in the behind the scenes because chances that you get more control of what your story ends up being like on screen if you are on set.
And I'm guessing, and that also has to do with your relationship with the directors as well.
Yeah,
So you've been in the industry for about you said 5 years now, or 5 plus
five
years.
plus.
What are some challenges you've experienced beyond one writing, of course? What are
Okay.
challenges you've experienced writing? What are challenges you've experienced in production generally? I know you've touched a bit of them, but like now let's just talk about those challenges and how you resolved some of this.
Or challenges. Um, I think a major challenge in, at least for now, is for me is no, not for me, for just in general, for screenwriting is
Yeah,
there is no budget for it at the moment, right? Yeah, so upcoming screenwriters are going to be highly taken advantage of if they don't know like their worth particularly. Yeah, so there's that. There is then there is what else is there? I think that's like the major obstacle right now for screenwriters and everyone in general. Like even the established, very established screenwriters,
yeah.
the majority of them, you see them should like maybe write like one, two films in 1 year, and that's not because that film is like particularly paying them well. It's just because they have like other streams of income, so they don't really want to compromise on creativity just to make ends meet. But other writers probably, I know other young writers and upcoming writers that write like 20, 30 screenplays in a year and still wouldn't even be able to like, um, what's the word?
Meet up
Meet up.
or
Yeah,
to pay
exactly.
in paying their
Pay their
bills and
bills and
stuff like
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's a lot.
I feel like I'm I'm making saying so many negative stuff about screenwriting.
No, but you're being honest. You're being
Yeah,
realistic, and I think that's something that the audience will appreciate, and that's something that um we want to hear from you. Like I said, now at least I wanting to kind of move into
move
that
into it.
light already. Now I know that okay, this cannot be the side hustle that will get you money. This is just something you
Exactly.
have to do
Something you
as a
have.
hobby and then just enjoy the glam that might come with it and stuff.
If you're not going to enjoy screenwriting, if it's not something you actually like doing, if it's something you're doing to
Make
make
money, you
money,
will
you're
hate it.
just going
Yeah.
to not do
Well, thank God it's something I really like doing. So,
it.
so what advice would you give to upcoming screenwriters? I know you already said, oh, that's one. Don't do it if you don't have love for it. So what other advice would you give for upcoming
For upcoming
screenwriters?
screenwriters. Most people wait until they've gotten like the projects to work on and stuff, but just I think writing and just massaging your gifts or your craft is one of like best ways to grow. So I would say just continue writing. Doesn't matter if you're writing for anybody, just writing for yourself, just keep writing. And also navigating the industry or what's that, collaborating, is it horizontally? Yeah, just people on your level, like other upcoming
Yeah,
directors, other upcoming producers, instead of looking for like mentors and people higher up in the industry, try working with people that are also upcoming.
on
Yeah,
okay.
on projects together. Yeah.
What's your go-to genre?
So I go
What
to
you're
drama
going to
to write.
genre? Yeah, to write
Sort of slice of life drama.
drama.
Yeah,
Okay. So
mostly
so that's what you mostly write.
mostly right.
And yes, I think introducing the creatures
Which is
is drama, so
drama.
I can
Yeah,
understand and see the correlation. Is that your favorite writing so far?
that's my favorite project I've written on.
Yeah.
It's one of
What would you say if you rank them? Say one to three.
one, two, three. Funny thing is that most of my favorite stuff that I've written have not come out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the ones that are out right now, introducing Kuju's is definitely three. No, two.
Okay.
Sorry. There's one called Rich, right? But that one was like very early on. I think that was my first feature film that came out. Um, that would be number three, and I think number one would be number one, number one. Let me rephrase that. Introducing Kuju is number one. A Simple Lie is number two, and um, yeah, number three is Rich.
So what
Wow, and
makes
they're all from the same director. That's
who's that?
Biodun Steven.
You said?
Biodun Steven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And what makes those three very special
very
to you?
special to me. So Introducing Bridges is very much drama and comedy,
Okay.
and yeah, so it's one of those films that you would watch that just makes you laugh as much as you'll probably cry at some points, right? And writing that when I was writing it, that was like one thing I really wanted to do. I didn't want to come up with like just a regular comedy that you go to watch because it's a family
Yeah.
themed movie. So there are many family things where everybody's just coming there to laugh in the cinema, and then there are the ones that you laugh and also like think and I feel like all sorts of emotions. So I think introducing the Kujus is a genre bending story. Like it has like different elements of drama and comedy in it. So that's why I gave it number one. Then a simple lie. I think I wrote that in my final year in uni, but it came out like last year.
Okay.
And yeah, a simple lie takes place in like one location for most of the story. So it has that very stage drama vibe to it. So that's why I like that one. Then there is Rich. Rich just has a like very special place because it was my first
Okay.
screenplay. Yeah. And it's a rom-com. That one's a rom-com. Yeah.
Yeah, but now speaking on still on genres, right? I'm just going to be deviating a little bit, but how do you I want to say stay updated with trends? So I'm guessing writing from 5 years ago when you started is not writing now. I'm sure there are differences, and those differences come with the technology.
Definitely.
So now you're writing with the consciousness that most people are using smartphones. You're writing with the consciousness that most people use drones now as well.
Mhm.
How does that affect your writing? How do you stay up to date with the current trends? And then also when you're writing, do you have an understanding of the camera angles and things like that, or you just leave that for the director?
Okay. So let me answer the second one.
Okay.
Most of the time I do have like certain a vision of how I see scenes playing out, and I put them in the screenplays. But it is usually advisable not to do that and let the director work with how they see the scene as opposed to how you see. But if there are certain things that you know add to the story, you have to include them in the screenplay. But if they don't, I don't think you are supposed to like just it because the film is also the director's medium to express themselves. So you don't want to like limit it with your screenplay. Yeah, so it's just yeah, except it's adding something to the story. There's no point
Yeah.
putting camera angles and stuff into my script. What was the first question?
How do you stay updated with trends?
Okay, were you talking about in relation to like inside the story or like you mean as writing in general, like filming?
Yeah, well, I think in both, but let's take it from both. One, writing in general, and then
Writing,
two,
okay.
in the world you have just created.
Okay. So writing in general. I don't think there's any difference because I don't think so. Like the way I've been writing, I wrote 5 years ago is probably the way I'm still
Writing,
writing
okay.
now. I don't think I have, what's it called? I think I've put less restrictions on myself, like in regards to like the things that I write about, right? So before, like I had like limitations, like I couldn't put like maybe like exterior shots of places and stuff like that. But like now I'm just realizing, just write,
Yeah.
right? After you've given it to the producer, and maybe they have their notes, then you can change stuff. But I'm no longer putting like those limitations to myself. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, I mean you did answer it when you said the way you write then is still
It's
how you
still how I
write
write now,
now.
basically, yeah.
Oh,
I don't think anything has changed.
yeah, and so the last question I have for you, well, in this segment of the show is, what are some upcoming projects we should expect from you?
Upcoming projects. Um, there's an African Magic series
Okay.
that is coming out next year, I think. There's second season of Smart Money Woman. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh, you
no
wrote Smart Money Woman.
second season. Yeah, I wrote
Oh,
the
you wrote the
second.
second
Yeah,
season. Oh, okay.
yeah. So there's that. There is then there are like many like a couple feature films, but yeah, that's
That's,
that's.
so that's really interesting. Looking forward to watching on all of
I'm
these.
looking forward to them too.
All right, so now we're moving on to another section of the show. basically we just ask you very short questions, three, four, five questions,
Okay.
right? Um, have you tried acting?
No,
Will you try acting?
no.
Why?
It's not just my thing. I don't think. See, oh, there are things very obvious that
Yeah,
it's
it
not.
was quite tedious, yeah.
Yeah, it's not exactly something I'm even considering at all.
But you would still like to be present on set.
On set for sure.
Okay, who's the favorite filmmaker you've worked with so far?
Worked with so far. I can't pick one.
Why?
Okay, actually, I can. Very filmmaker that I've worked with. You're talking about directors, right?
Yeah, directors.
Yeah, to definitely be honest, Steven.
Okay. Oh, you.
I think I
Oh, and
mentioned her
then
name a lot
yeah,
today.
and yeah, and I mean, I'm guessing she's one of your I'll say role models.
Role models. Yeah, I started working for her like right after I finished. I got out of uni, so
Okay.
basically I'm working out with her for most of my professional industry life. Yeah, so that's why I would say. And also, she's one. I've told you she's one of the few directors that focuses on
Yep.
depth stories. So
Yep. What's your dream collaboration locally and internationally?
local and international. Locally, it would be that's oh, there are many. There's Jade Oshiber.
Okay.
I've kind of worked with her already. Then there is Kemi Adetiba, obviously. Then there is yeah, those are two filmmakers that I really want to work with. If I've not mentioned anybody in particular that I think I want to mention, it's because I've already worked with them, but the projects are not just out
Yeah,
yet.
out yet.
Yeah.
And what about internationally?
That list is very long.
You can give
Uh,
us your top three.
top three.
Yeah.
Uh, hold on, trying to think. There's Dan Fogelman. I'm not sure you've heard of him, but it's like you've seen This Is Us, right? Or you've heard about it.
Yeah, I have.
So he's the creator of like This Is Us,
Okay.
and his stories are like my kind of stories. Yeah. So there's him. There is David Fincher as a director,
Okay.
and there is and Shonda Rhimes. Everybody likes Shonda Rhimes.
Would you like to work with Christopher Nolan?
I'm not a fan of no, no, I'm not a fan of Christopher Nolan, but I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of his style of
Style.
filmmaking. Everybody has those kind
Their
of like
preference, yeah.
there are people that like films like very complicated and yeah, those are not my style. I'm very much I like grounded stories,
Yeah.
like stories that are grounded in like reality of human existence, like just regular people living regular lives. So those are the kind of filmmakers I like to
I'm curious to know how do you unwind? Because as a writer, I'm thinking you unwind by writing. But now that writing is your profession,
profession
how do you unwind? When you're not writing, what are you
when
doing?
I'm writing. So it's very boring. I watch films. Like
Okay.
yeah,
You've mentioned that.
in, I watch films. Okay, then I don't read as much anymore. So what else do I do? I watch films. I listen to music. Uh, I'm not really an outdoor person,
Okay.
so I'm mostly indoors. Yeah, so that's what I do.
And the final question is, what was one aha moment that you've had? And when I mean aha moment, it's like that you probably finished writing a script and you just looked at the script and you were like, I'm good. Like I'm actually good. No, Manny, you are good. What's that? What's that?
What's that moment?
Yeah, and when did that moment
When did that
happen?
moment happen? Oh, I've had that moment like
A couple of
a
times.
couple of
Okay.
times. So I think like the earliest one
Yeah,
or
probably the
most
earliest
recent
one.
one.
Yeah.
Okay, the earliest one would be the first time I finished a screenplay.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, it took me like so we're on break from school. I think it was like 3 months after like yeah, it was like between first semester and like no between second semester and the new semester. So I spent it writing, and this was like my first screenplay, and I wrote it, and I was like, and the story was basically very intense and everything. Yeah, that was my first aha moment. I think eventually the story got made like 2 years ago into
Okay.
like a film, and it's won like festival award for writing.
Oh,
And so I was
lovely.
like, okay, like that film, that thing that I wrote like so many
So
years
many years
ago,
ago
still
has
stands
relevance
as
today.
relevance here. So that was my first aha moment.
All right. Thank you. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to play a game.
Okay,
All right. So you're going to write for us. We're not like a proper writing. We're going to scope it down a little bit,
okay.
right? So, um, just come up with any story. The
Mm.
theme is, what should be the theme? The theme is overnight success.
Overnight success.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're just going to come up with a brief synopsis of what that would look like.
A real synopsis of what that would look like.
Yeah.
Overnight
Success.
success.
Yes.
Also, I'm just supposed to come up with
Yeah. Just come up with a
anything.
story. You can take as much time as you need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't think I have something. Okay. Let me see if this makes sense.
Okay.
Let me see. Just fell out of my head. So I'm thinking maybe a story centered in a church,
Okay.
right? And um, oh, this is quite trying not to be too dark.
No, please be as dark as you want.
Okay. So it's basically centered in a church,
Okay.
and then there's a character, or maybe I don't know if it's a female or a male character that goes to church for like deliverance, right? And it's like a mega church, and the character is an influencer,
Okay.
and the character feels probably has been feeling a certain way, like they've been doing everything just to become famous, and they're like, this is becoming an addiction, and I need help, I need spiritual help, and then they go to church, and during the deliverance session, this is a church that basically like um, broadcast their service like to different parts of the
Yeah.
world. And during the what's it called, the deliverance for this particular character, things get out of hand, and um, the character starts basically doing some certain crazy things while the pastor is delivering, performing the deliverance, and the videos get out the church, and it starts to trend, and basically the person becomes famous for that particular performance. And yeah, and we have, and then towards the end of the story, you find out that it was actually planned.
Okay. Definitely did not see that ending. But- so overnight success is that you used to church.
It
Uh,
was that was the best I could come up with. That part.
that would actually be a very interesting one. You will make an interesting short play. Anyways, thank you for coming, Manny. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And looking forward to watching all your upcoming projects. And I hope you win more awards.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. See you in the next one.
Hi, I'm Manny. I'm a screenwriter, and you just finished listening to the Work It Like I Talk It podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, thank you.